Hello. Welcome to A&M Consulting Company. I'm Ada. Today, I'm going to talk about to you the company registration in Turkey. Before the starting, what will you be finded in this video? Overview of the company registration in Turkey. Types of legal entities in Turkey. How to register a company in Turkey. Company management. And opening of corporate bank account in Turkey. After conducting market analysis, the next crucial step for global investors entering the Turkish market is company registration in Turkey. There are two primary trade zones for registering a company in Turkey: free zones and the mainland trade zone. Free zones attract global investors with numerous tax incentives and commercial opportunities. In contrast, the mainland trade zone offers local and global investors equal trading conditions. In these trade areas, global companies headquartered outside of Turkey can establish branches or representative offices. Additionally, investors can opt to open a company in Turkey independently, choosing from various company types. The main types of companies that can be established in Turkey are as follows: joint stock company, limited liability company, sole proprietorship company, branch of main company, liaison office of main company. Now let's examine these options more closely. Joint stock company. The joint stock company, shortly JSC, is a most corporate legal structure for a business in Turkey. It is suitable for larger and corporate businesses. In a JSC, ownership is divided into shares, and the liability of the shareholders, excluding public debts, is limited to the amount of capital they have invested in the company. A joint stock company must have at least one shareholder. It's a type of company in which 1/4 of the minimum equity amount of 250,000 Turkish liras must be paid in cash to the company's bank account just before establishment, unlike limited liability company. Rest of equity must be paid off within 24 months by shareholders to the bank account of company. Another difference is that there is no upper limit on the number of shareholders/partners. Generally, it's the preferred type of company by banks, insurance company, and holding companies. It is more corporate and reputable than limited liability company. It is also easier to transfer shares. Its shares may be listed on the stock exchange market. Limited liability company. The limited liability company, or LLC, is the most common type of company in Turkey. An LLC can have at least one and at most 50 shareholders. Despite the minimum equity requirement of 50,000 Turkish liras, it can be established with zero equity. Shareholders, who are personally and unlimitedly responsible for the company's debts, can be individuals, corporations, or a mix of both, and can be foreigners. Foreigners can hold 100% ownership in an LLC. One of the shareholders must be a manager, while other directors can be either shareholders or non-shareholders. It can be stipulated in the Articles of Incorporation whether directors can sign individually or jointly when representing the company. The equity undertaken by shareholders must be paid off within 24 months to the company's bank account. Sole proprietorship company. It is the simplest legal structure for a business in Turkey. It is owned and operated by a single individual responsible for all debts and liabilities incurred by the business. It is the type of company preferred by small tradesmen and businesses that require personal talents and skills rather than equity. The shareholders are personally responsible for all the actions of the company. It is a type of company that is subject to progressive tax, even though a certain amount of its income is tax-free. Branch and liaison office. Establishing a branch or liaison office by foreign investors in Turkey is encouraged. Local and foreign investors are treated equally under the Foreign Direct Investments Law, except where stipulated otherwise by international conventions and special laws. Also permits foreign investors to establish a liaison office in Turkey to conduct research activities in their industry without engaging in commercial activities. A foreign company can participate in commercial activities in Turkey by opening a Turkish branch instead of establishing a new company. This approach is often easier and cost-free. There is no minimum capital requirement for establishing branches, unlike for joint stock and limited liability companies. By establishing a branch, an investor can commence business activities in Turkey immediately. In Turkey, liaison offices are prohibited from conducting commercial activities. They cannot sign commercial agreements or issue invoices. This prohibition is a key condition for establishing a liaison office in Turkey. If a liaison office engages in commercial transactions, its operation permit will be cancelled. The parent company, i.e., the foreign company, must perform such commercial activities directly when necessary. However, a liaison office can lease an office and open a bank account in Turkey to cover operational expenses. These expenses are covered by the parent company. Documents required for company registration in Turkey. The documents required for company registering in Turkey is vary depending on whether the shareholders are individuals or corporate entities. For individual and corporate shareholders, the following documents are required for company formation in Turkey. For individual shareholders: tax number of the founders, Turkish translation of the founder's passport, residence addresses of the founders, contact information of the founders, biometric of the founders. For corporate shareholders: foreign companies board decision notarized by local notary and apostilled by Turkish embassy and translated in Turkish, which covers title, address, tax number, and natural entity representatives with registration informations of related company of the founders. Foreign companies' natural entity representatives contact info, address, Turkish ID number and passport copy. It's needed notarized and translated in Turkish in case of representative is a foreign. Foreign companies' natural entity foreign representatives residence permit and Turkish ID number, in case of representatives is a based in Turkey. Lastly, we look at comparison of legal entities. Advantages of joint stock company. It can transfer its profit outside of Turkey freely. 100% ownership is available for foreigners. The liability of the shareholders, excluding public debts, is limited to the amount of capital they have paid off in the company. It has no limit on the number of shareholders. Its share transfer process is very easy. The most common corporate type of company. Drawbacks of joint stock company. 1/4 of the minimum equity amount of 250,000 Turkish liras must be paid in cash to the company's bank account just before establishment. Limited liability company. Advantages of limited liability company. It can transfer its profit outside of Turkey freely. 100% ownership is available for foreigners. It can be established immediately with zero capital, though it should be noted that the capital must be deposited into the company's bank account within 24 months. Drawbacks of limited liability company. The shareholders are unlimited or in person responsible for company's debts. Limited to a maximum of 50 shareholders. Its share transfer process must be completed at a Turkish notary. Sole proprietorship company. Advantages of sole proprietorship company. It does not need cash capital. Registration and liquidation can be completed in just an hour. Operating costs are relatively low. Drawbacks of sole proprietorship company. The shareholders are personally responsible for all the actions of the company. It is subject to progressive tax regime. Branch office. Advantages of branch office. There is any restriction to engage in commercial activities in Turkey. It can issue invoice. It can transfer its profit outside of Turkey freely. Drawbacks of branch office. The field of activity is limited to the scope of the parent company's activities. Liaison office. Advantages of liaison office. Exempt from corporate income tax and value-added tax. Relatively easy to registry and liquidation. Drawbacks benefits of liaison office. Never allowed to carry out commercial activities in Turkey. The field of activity is limited to the scope of the parent company's activities. It cannot issue invoice. It cannot transfer its profit outside of Turkey. Its activity in Turkey is time restricted, with the permit initially issued for 3 years. After 3 years, it can be extended for up to 5 years, and in some cases, up to 10 years. It may not finance its activities itself. It must be funded by parent company. Steps of company registration in Turkey. First step, determine the trade area, mainland or free zone. Second step, choose the type of company, LLC or JSC. Third step, decide on managers and share capital amounts. For a JSC, the minimum capital requirement is 250,000 Turkish liras. For an LLC, the minimum capital requirement is 50,000 Turkish liras. Important, if you choose a JSC, you must deposit 1/4 of the minimum equity amount into the company's bank account and obtain a blockage letter from the bank. Fourth step, prepare the articles of incorporation. Determine the company title and reserve it at the registration office, valid for up to 5 days. Sign a lease contract for the company's legal address. Obtain tax ID numbers for the founders by applying to the tax office. Translate the founders' passports into Turkish and get them notarized. If not in Turkey, this can be done at a Turkish embassy. Final step, submit all documents to the registration office. Submit all required documents by hand to the registration office and pay the registration fees to get the company registration certificate. Register your company with the tax office. Obtain a notarized signature circular for the managers. By following these steps, you can ensure a smooth company registration process in Turkey. How much does it cost to register a company in Turkey? The cost of forming a company in Turkey typically ranges around €4,000, which represents an average and ideal fee. Quotes below this threshold might compromise the quality and extent of services provided. Here's a detailed breakdown of these costs. Virtual office fee, €100 per month. Company formation services by local agents in Turkey, starting at approximately €3,000. Accounting services and tax consultancy by Turkish accountants, starting at around €350 per month, depending on client needs. Bank account opening services by local agents, priced at €500 per bank. Please note that these figures are estimates and may vary based on specific requirements and additional services needed. How long does it take to register a company in Turkey? The duration for setting up a company in Turkey depends on whether the shareholders are present in the country. For shareholders in Turkey, the entire process, including company formation, bank account opening, and setting up online banking, can typically be completed within 1 or 3 days. This expedited process is also generally more cost-effective. For shareholders not physically present in Turkey, it is possible to establish the company remotely, but this may involve a longer setup process and higher costs. Management of the company. You have the option to manage the company you establish in Turkey yourself or appoint a director. According to the Turkish Commercial Code, at least one manager is required to exercise the legal rights of the company and manage it. This manager can be a shareholder or an external appointee and can be a natural person or a legal entity, whether domestic or foreign. If the manager is a legal entity, it must appoint a natural person, either local or foreign, to represent and act on its behalf. Therefore, while the title of manager belongs to the legal entity, the duties of the manager are carried out by an appointed real person representative. Please note that if you choose to appoint foreign individuals, a work permit will be required. If more than one manager is preferred, by establishing a board of managers, the authorities and responsibilities of the managers can be freely determined. Duties and responsibilities of managers. The primary duty of the managers is to represent and manage the company. Accordingly, the managers are responsible for preparing the company's financial statements and annual activity report, preparing for and executing the decisions of the General Assembly meeting, which must be held at least once a year, establishing the accounting system, ensuring financial planning, and conducting necessary audits for the management of the company, notifying the commercial court if the company is in debt. I would like to talk about opening a corporate bank account in Turkey lastly. Opening a corporate bank account is a second step when setting up a business venture in Turkey, crucial for facilitating financial transactions, including the deposit of equity, for JSC-type companies, a prerequisite before formally registering the company. In Turkey, both domestic and foreign enterprises must possess a bank account to conduct market activities efficiently. Banks offer various account types tailored to individual needs, including those of foreign nationals holding Turkish residence permits, and extend corporate banking services to accommodate business entities. For foreign investors and entrepreneurs establishing companies in Turkey, corporate bank accounts are indispensable for several reasons. 1. Deposit of equity. Necessary during the company formation process. 2. Payment facilitation. Enables payment of taxes, social security premiums, and other obligations. 3. Financial management. Essential for efficiently managing receivables and payables. To open a corporate bank account in Turkey, the following documents are typically required: the company's articles of association, certificate of company registration, certificate of tax registration of company, company seal, wet signatures of company representatives, residence permit of representatives if they are based in Turkey. Turkish banks offer a diverse array of services tailored to meet the specific needs of their clients, whether individuals or business owners. These services include money transfers, ATM withdrawals, currency payments, and online banking, often provided free of charge. Conducting transactions with a Turkish bank account is straightforward, whether online or in person. However, it's essential to be mindful of the fees associated with various banking services to effectively manage costs and optimize financial operations.
Do not forget, when you are registering your company in Turkey, although it is a legal obligation for you to decide on the determination of the trading area in which the company will operate, the type and amount of capital of the company, the partnership structure under the guidance of a Turkish accountant or Turkish Ka, or both at the established stage, and a long activity of your company will benefit you in many ways, such as saving time and minimize of your costs, easy access to incentives and exemptions. A&M Consulting Co, a specialized Turkish accounting firm, offers comprehensive company registration services in Turkey, particularly for foreign investors and corporate entities. We handle all aspects of company formation in Turkey, as well as accounting and bookkeeping services. We are here to simplify the accounting and bookkeeping processes for you and to assist in the formation of your company in Turkey. Reach out to our experienced Turkish accountants and Turkish certified financial advisors via email or by filling out the contact form on our website's contact page. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.